Well, hi there. What's up, you awesome geeks? It's Brian. We're in the smuggler's room. And yeah, it's been a hot minute, right? Yeah. The year started off kind of interesting, and we haven't been uploading as much, and we want to get back to that. But before we did that, we thought maybe we could hit the restart button in the smuggler's room and reach out to you and maybe do some kind of a Q&A, an ask me anything sort of video to get some ideas about what you're thinking out there as the audience and the people that spend time watching what we do. Maybe that would fuel us and get us excited, which it absolutely has. And then just kind of reconnect. I have to tell you right out of the gate, we were absolutely overwhelmed. We did not expect the kind of feedback that you all provided. Thank you so much. Between all the social media posts that we put up, we have well over 200 questions. So, I'll tell you right up front, I don't know that we'll be able to answer all of those questions in a single video. However, what we'll definitely do is we'll make sure to go in and take those questions, kind of organize them a little bit how I've done today. And then we'll sprinkle in some uploads throughout the next couple weeks so that every question gets an answer. It won't take place over a project video. We'll just upload it so that we can make sure and answer your questions. Okay. I've got my laptop with several here, and I want to start out with kind of a little collection. I won't read all the questions specifically, but BC Cayman, Design 83, Dean Arnold 8288, all of you asked very similar questions. How are we doing? That that there's either been some kind of turmoil or whatnot that's happened that's kept us away. It's not all gloom and doom, but we have stepped away a little bit, and it was a big part of it this year was this. Yeah. If you've watched videos over the last 4 years, my grill, as it were, is always a little bit of an interesting thing to look at. We won't go into all the details, but I basically had to have an incredibly invasive and extreme dental surgery.
Pretty strange morning. I'm pretty swollen. I don't have teeth in my mouth right now. I've got little plugs. It's pretty nasty. Little plugs in here for the teeth they're going to put in later today. So, yeah. This is damn strange.
Which had nothing to do with cosmetics. The cosmetic result is great. That's awesome. But it was more about my health and certain things that have been happening and going on for many, many years. And I finally found a surgeon and a dentist, Dr. Page and Dr. Nagagi. Thank you both so very much. That took really good care of me. However, the biggest challenge is, the recovery time and not feeling well for a good chunk of time really took it out of me. So it wasn't really that easy to actually work without being in pain. There's still some discomfort, but I'm getting used to that. And then, the new year started off really interesting with the day job that I have. The thing I do by day is a very demanding job. I love it, but it requires a lot of attention. So I've had to really figure out how to make all of this work together. And actually, it brings us to kind of like a couple of other questions that are lumped together between Justin Schroeder 8576 and Simon Phillips. Justin asked if this is what we do full time. Do we have a normal job besides this? And he's also thinking about starting his own YouTube channel. So yeah, Justin, I think the answer I would have for you is please do it. Do it right now. Start one today. Don't overthink it. I think the YouTube system is one of the more complicated things I've ever done in my life. It's always a challenge. There is pressure that we put on ourselves for it. I think that's okay. I'm fine with that. But it's also one of the most rewarding things we've ever done. The community of people we have met and that continue to grow around not only the channel, but the Star Wars Room Builders group on Facebook and all these other aspects. The people that now are the most important people in my life have all come as a result of sharing passion and love for something. Whether that's building nerdy, geeky Star Wars things or whatever other avenue that you want to do. I just think it's an amazing platform, and I think it's incredible that you can share your interests and you have full freedom to do so. It's not without its challenges. There are people out there that will push against you because of it, or that you have to deal with the keyboard warriors and that type of thing. But I'll tell you that they are few and far between when it comes to the impact that's positive as a result of doing this. So if anyone out there is considering starting a channel or sharing your work in this way, I say go for it. You can learn the mechanics and the pieces and the lighting and the cameras and all of that stuff along the way. Don't let that be the thing that stops you from trying it. We all have phones. Set it up, run the camera, record what you're doing, tell a great story, and just bring us along for the journey. We're ready to go. Let's do it. Okay. The next question sort of relates to that. It's from Simon Phillips. And his question is, how are you managing the problem of audience capture? Meaning keeping true to yourself, your journey making versus being sucked into the temptations of the algorithm, making content and projects that are to please an audience. And he kind of goes on about talking about how that can contribute to burnout. And Simon, I hear you loud and clear. This is actually something we have talked about this year, really seriously. We're going on to about to start our 5th year doing this. And I don't know what expectations I had for YouTube or for the Smuggler's Room or any of this before, but now, after doing it for a while, I do. And I realized that much of last year, there was a temptation to lean into what the algorithm will provide us, right? The YouTube algorithm is this mysterious entity out there in the world. Yes, there's some technical things around it, and I know all of the technical aspects that you should, but I also am kind of fighting that a little bit. So I guess to answer this question, I will say if you asked me last year, I would have given you a bullet point list of all the things you need to do in order to be successful. And yes, those are factual. Keyword search and YouTube thumbnails that are attractive and all of those upload times and knowing the audience watch and all of that kind of stuff it's honestly critical for growth. And at the same time, I want to just dump it all in the trash this year. You're going to see us do some things that are very familiar and some things that are completely not. And the reason is, over the last year, some of that passion was being pulled away. That feeling of burnout was creeping in. And it's not burnout of building. I can't help myself. I have to be in the shop making stuff. But I've also created these obstacles around making what I want to make versus what I think an audience will watch. And I think the reality is that Chris and I have come to the point where we said, we're going to do what we're passionate about first. Because honestly, that's what brought you to us to watch in the first place. And we've pulled away from that. So regardless of whether it's a room build or a miniature build or a droid or something not entirely Star Wars, we're just going to go for it. And I think, Simon, that is the way I would answer that question is you have to keep true to what it is that makes you happy and keeps you passionate about what you're doing. So that's what we're going to do. And that's what you should do. So as I mentioned, there were lots and lots of questions. What I've done is I've taken several of those and I've categorized them. So one of the things that's been asked quite a bit is the Spaceship Airbnb. And what's the status of that and what's the progress of it? If you're not familiar with that, quickly, it was a project that Chris and I got involved with across the country, where a couple was building a spaceship, Star Wars-ish style themed, more sci-fi in general, that is going to be an Airbnb that you can go and rent and stay at. We were heavily involved in different aspects of the design early on. We actually visited the site. We worked with the customer. We worked with the structural engineer, the builder. We were very involved for a while. At this point, we're no longer part of the project. The homeowner, the property owner, I think given the constraints between distances, budget concerns, everything after COVID got more expensive. So material, building costs, all of that inflated. So having us being so remote, they decided that they probably could do much of what they wanted to do locally versus having us traveling and providing material and whatnot. So disappointing. We were really excited about that. It's a really great lesson that we've learned as far as how to structure services and what is feasible and not, and how to kind of work with that kind of thing in the future. So we absolutely wish them the best. We hope that it turns out well. We certainly would have loved to have brought our vision fully to life so that it could be realized the way that we were passionate about it. I think there were just a fair amount of obstacles that got in the way. And so unfortunately, we will not be part of it. But as soon as we see something that they've done that shows the finished product, we'll share it so that you guys can all take a look at it. Okay, the next big topic is room building. Room building isn't what started the Smuggler's Room, but it's become our mythology, if you will. It's that underlying narration of something that we've been working on for years and probably for years to come. And we've got several questions. So Zorro, with 4 X's in front and behind, how to start a room build, where to start, getting started. When you have the okay from the wife, where do you start? I think it's interesting how many times the question of how do you get okay from the wife or your partner or whoever, your spouse, because it's an interesting subject to bring up. I mean, I brought it up to my wife when she asked what I wanted for my birthday. I said I wanted to build a spaceship in the basement. I don't think she thought it would take this long to actually have something finished, nor did she think that she'd spend her nights and weekends editing videos for others to watch. So where do you get started? I think the first thing is to really get an understanding of what the ultimate outcome is. In a perfect world, everything is great. What does it look like? And then you take that idea and you work backwards. We started the room build several times. I've told this story over the years, but essentially, I kind of went into it the first 2.5 times with no plan at all. The result was a lot of hours, a lot of money, and ultimately nothing really survived from that. It was like an experiment that kind of went wrong. So I always tell folks, dream big, scale down, and plan. Draw. If you're good with CAD, do something in Fusion 360 or SketchUp. If you're good with AutoCAD, do it that way. If nothing else, take a piece of paper and a ruler, measure things out, draw it out, save a ton of different reference material. And then when you have the dream and the plan, think about what things you know how to do right now today. What tools are available to you? What skills do you already have? And where can you apply those to get started small in the space? If there's anything I've learned, it's as you go along, as that project proceeds, you're going to learn new techniques, learn how to use new tools. You're going to adapt new materials, new styles. And that's all part of the process. It's actually the thing I love the most. I honestly don't care that it's not done. I care more about the journey I'm on It's truly more about the journey. Having said that, take that approach. Start with what you can do. And then reach out to the community. Find out if you don't have a particular tool or there's something specific you want, find someone within the community that can help provide that. Whether that's a service or collaboration, whatever it is. I've learned that for example, our Star Wars Room Builders group is an amazing resource of people that will help you along the way. It's fantastic. Okay, Eric Bradshaw 225. At what point will you call the room done or finishing any project in general? I don't know that I'll ever call the room done. I think it's one of those types of projects where I will probably always find something that I want to improve on, adjust, or add to. So I think I would focus less on when I want to call it done, and I would probably phrase it more of when am I satisfied with a certain space. And that's true for projects as well. I think when I'm working on any type of project, I know I could spend 2 or 3 more months on something, working out a certain detail or rebuilding something in a better way. The truth is it's probably more of a question of when do I want to be finished with it than when is it finished. Because at some point I want to move on to some other kind of project. And I think the room build lends itself really nice to that. And if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you know that room build has been going on for 4 years and before that. And that's okay. Like, I work on it in little spurts. And then when I get a little burned out because it's a big project, I move on to other things to refuel. The smaller projects, which I tend to turn into bigger projects, but that moving and shifting always re-energizes me to go back and work on something. So there you go. And then to round out the room build today, Chris Drake, any major room upgrade plans this year? Any major goals? Welcome back. Thank you. I'm glad to be back. I like being in here. I like doing this. Yes is the answer. In our current space, we have our bench area here. And I'll be honest, it's the part of the room that has kept me from wanting to work on the room. It's been very frustrating. I'm pleased with portions, angry about others, and it got to a point where I couldn't even look at it because it just wasn't happening. And the reality is I couldn't come up with what I wanted. There was like components in my brain, but they weren't going together correctly. And sometimes the design process is the most difficult process of all. Midjourney AI came out, and I know all of the different things that are going on around AI and art and blah, and we're not going to get into that. What I am going to get into is that I was able to take different reference images, and I was able to take terminology, words, to describe what it is I was trying to think of, and it generated these images that you're seeing here. Now, this solved one of the biggest problems I've had in the room and what I want to do with this area. It helped give me a visualization, an idea of where I can take this corner and how I can improve upon it. Now, none of those images are exactly my space, but it didn't matter. All it did was plant the seed. And now I've been drawing the space in Fusion 360, modeling it, and that allows me to move parts and pieces around so I can get exactly what I want out of it. Does it mean that some of the things that are in this corner already are going to be replaced? Yes, it does. It means I'm going to take things apart. Some I'll save, some I won't, and that's painful, but at the end of the day, it's all about getting this to look the way I want. And so that will be one of the major things that happens over the course of 2024 is working on that corner. If we got to January next year and that corner was finished and it looked exactly like I wanted it to, that's all that matters. There was one more question about the room, and this was from Christopher Dooley, 1981. I know you started on the bar area, but were you able to add anything else? Are you planning on adding anything more in the future? I know I have 1,001 things I'd like to do in my basement, but after seeing your bar build, I might put my own spin just like you guys did. That's awesome. Thank you. That's a huge compliment. Yes, there are 1,001 more things we're going to do with the bar area. We got the construction portion of it done, but there are layers of details, things that we want to do when it comes to displaying the bottles, lighting. There's so many things. I don't want to ruin it all, but yes, that bar area became a really great project, and Chris and I worked on that together. That's something that is really important to me this year, is more projects where her and I are working together. We have the most fun, whether it's in the shop or in the basement or whatever it is, when we're doing this together. So yeah, the bar area is more to come. You'll see. Okay, this is a pretty good one to end today's Ask Me Anything. And again, don't worry. All of the questions that were submitted, they will all get answered. And we will upload those at different points in the next probably 2 weeks, maybe 3, depending on how complicated some of them are. We really do appreciate you sending those. That was really awesome. It got me really excited because it shows me you're excited, and that makes us want to keep going. So thank you for submitting them. I'm sorry we didn't get to them all in one shot. We didn't want this to be a 3-hour-long session. But we will answer them. The last question is from Jim Zun. What is your favorite Greeblie? What is your favorite project? Favorite tool technique? Mine is a squeezable baby food bottle top. Just finished making one of our panels. Excellent, by the way. It was his first with that. That's awesome. First of all, thank you very much for buying one of the panels. I love seeing that you all are able to buy those and what you do with them. It's just exciting. I love it. It makes me so happy. Anyway, favorite Greeblie is easy. Most of you probably are going to say the Simply Juice Lid. The problem for me is that it's not the only favorite. There are two, which the hard drive motor is the other part. I consider them one because they fit really, really well together. And my friend Martine has created a laser file that allows it to mount in here really nicely. But that combination right there is my favorite Greeblie. Without a doubt. No question about it. It's never the wrong choice. It's like the universal Greeblie that Adam Savage talks about when they were building the models for Star Wars. That it was never the wrong choice when choosing a Greeblie. For me, it's right here. Every time. When he asked what the favorite project was, the truth is my favorite project is the Smuggler's Room. Not the room build. What we're doing here. The building of this, not the channel, not that it's the company that we have behind it. It's this community of people. It's all these amazing people, all of you that watch, that you participate in the comments, that you join our Patreon community, that you buy our panels and you build them and you share all of that. That is a project, and it's my favorite part of all of this. I wouldn't trade any of that for anything. So thank you. It's amazing. It feels kind of anticlimactic to tell what my favorite tool and technique is after that, but to be fair to the question, sorry, my favorite tool is a laser cutter. It is a tool, and yes, it's an expensive, exotic tool, but it allows me to achieve things I don't normally have the ability to do. And I think that is also a technique, right? Because I know Adobe Illustrator really well. I've done it for years. I studied it in college. Like, it's part of my nature. So that tool and that process is an extension. I can think of something and go, ooh, and I can just do it. Sometimes to a fault, I'll give you that. But I think it's a question you should all ask yourselves. What tool and technique is your favorite? Or maybe a different way to ask that question is, which tool or technique makes you the most successful in the things that you do? It might be a paintbrush. It might be a pencil. It might be a table saw. Who knows? And then ask yourself why. Why is it? Is it because it allows you to achieve something quickly? I don't know. I think it's an interesting question. I loved this. I loved doing the Q&A thing. I like to talk about all this stuff, and I hope that there was some value. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it got you excited about something. I hope we answered questions that you had. A lot of the questions, I'll be honest, have generated ideas for us on projects. They've opened up concepts behind things that we should be doing more of to help you all with your projects. At the end of the day, this channel was not about step by step, here's how you make X. It was more of, hey, we had this crazy idea, we did this, what do you think? And did it generate an idea for you? And if we can bring in tools and things and expose you to them and materials that help you do some really awesome stuff, then that's what it's all about. We love you guys. Thank you so much. And we'll see you the next time we build something out of nothing.